Imagine an empty valley transforming, rapidly filling with a pulsing web of interconnected lines. This is the nervous system of a modern nation waking up. Before this web existed, moving across India's immense terrain was agonizingly slow. Goods and people relied on animal power, turning a simple journey between neighboring regions into a multi-week expedition. To overcome these geographical barriers, a society builds physical infrastructure, the tangible networks of roads, railways, and utilities that allow a country to function and communicate. In 1853, the British introduced the railway to India. The initial goal was purely extraction. Engineers laid tracks specifically to siphon raw materials, like cotton and tea, from the interior directly out to the coastal ports. Following independence, those same steel arteries were repurposed. The network expanded to carry millions of citizens every day, transitioning from tools of colonial control into vital channels for domestic trade and internal migration. Today, the network is transitioning toward nearly full electrification of its broad-gauge tracks. By phasing out diesel, the system reduces its direct carbon emissions while lowering the total cost of operation. Replacing dirt trails with high-speed rail stitched a fractured, massive geography together, allowing distant states to trade as a single national economy. This integration extends to the asphalt. Recent expansions have upgraded narrow, local village paths into massive, multi-lane national highways designed to handle heavy industrial traffic. The Golden Quadrilateral is a prime example of this scale. It is a massive strategic highway network spanning thousands of kilometers to link Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Calcutta. By connecting these major economic hubs with smooth, uninterrupted lanes, the network sharply accelerates the time it takes to move freight across the country. These highways function as the country's economic spine, turning isolated local markets into one continuous national supply chain. As trade booms and populations swell, that continuous movement eventually hits a bottleneck at the city limits, creating massive urban congestion. To bypass the gridlock, cities build vertically and underground. Metro rail systems operate on dedicated, separated tracks. Kolkata pioneered this approach in 1984, establishing the first rapid transit system to cut straight through urban density. This infrastructure leads to transit-oriented development, an urban planning strategy where commercial buildings and residential neighborhoods are built tightly clustered around transit hubs. When jobs and homes are within walking distance of a metro station, reliance on private vehicles plummets, directly lowering citywide air pollution. Moving up to the skies, air transport was historically treated as a luxury, with flight routes restricted almost entirely to major metropolitan hubs. The UDAN scheme targets this exact gap by subsidizing flights and building regional airports in smaller towns. This creates rapid links for emergency medical relief and allows remote businesses to ship perishable goods overnight. Whether tunneling under dense cities or flying over mountain ranges, modern infrastructure collapses spatial barriers, extending the reach of urban services to the country's most isolated regions. While rail and air move goods quickly, sea transport remains the most cost-effective method for shipping massive, heavy bulk goods like coal and machinery across the globe. India's vast coastline handles the majority of its international trade. The government's Sagarmala project targets the modernization and expansion of these coastal ports to process increasing cargo volumes. Manual labor at these docks has been replaced by heavy automation. Standardized metal containers can now be lifted directly from a ship's deck to a waiting truck in minutes using massive gantry cranes. To carry more containers, modern megaships are built larger and heavier, which pushes their hulls deeper underwater. Ports must perform dredging, excavating the ocean floor to create deep-water drafts so these massive vessels can dock safely. These modernized coastal ports act as the ultimate plug, directly linking inland Indian farmers and manufacturers to the global economy. Beyond concrete and steel, physical infrastructure now supports an invisible web of communication networks, relying on massive arrays of fiber optic cables and cellular towers. This enables e-governance, a digital infrastructure system that delivers public services directly to a citizen's device. A farmer receives immediate crop price alerts via SMS, while a student securely stores official documents in an app. Yet every piece of infrastructure, digital or physical, degrades over time. Continuous, sustainable maintenance is required to keep these systems functional long after the initial construction. In Meghalaya, local tribes demonstrate an entirely organic approach to this upkeep. They guide the roots of living rubber trees across rivers, engineering biological bridges that grow stronger rather than weaker over centuries. Reliable infrastructure relies on both these invisible digital networks and the long-term sustainable mindset found in indigenous community engineering. Because these networks are funded by public taxes, they belong to everyone. This creates a collective responsibility, a shared duty between the government and citizens to maintain them. Active stewardship involves reporting a broken streetlight, keeping storm drains clear of trash, and preventing vandalism on public transit. Think about your own daily route to school. What roads, signals, or transport networks do you rely on, and what actions can you take to protect them? India's vast infrastructure is a living, evolving organism. Its survival and its continued growth rely entirely on the active stewardship of the next generation.